Ed Harris was told he would be one of 4 main characters on Dutton Ranch. That's not a rumor. That's what he says he was told directly before he agreed to sign. And when the show aired, he watched the finished product and said it wasn't really the case. He confronted the production during filming. He told his representatives he wanted to void his contract. He's now telling this story publicly, on the record, in Variety, at a red carpet premiere. And Paramount hasn't said a word in response. Who exactly made that promise to Ed Harris? Why is the studio that called Dutton Ranch its biggest original series debut in history choosing complete silence over a direct response? And what does it mean that Harris is telling everyone this story while still signed for Season 2? Let's break it down. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing. We cover every major development in Dutton Ranch and the Yellowstone franchise the moment it happens. And what Harris just put on the public record is the most significant behind-the-scenes story the show has produced. Okay, let's start with the promise itself. Because the specificity of what Harris describes is what makes this story different from a generic complaint about screen time. He wasn't told his character would be important. He wasn't given vague assurances about the show's ensemble nature. He was told specifically before signing his contract that he was one of the 4 main characters. His casting announcement described Everett McKinney as a weathered veteran and veterinarian with a sense of humor who treats animals with compassion and understanding. That description was consistent with the promise. A character with depth, with presence, with the kind of material a 4-time Oscar nominee signs a television contract to perform. Harris brought serious credibility to this show. He was fresh off Westworld, where his portrayal of the Man in Black earned him an Emmy nomination. Dutton Ranch was only his 2nd major television series role in a career that spans Apollo 13, The Truman Show, The Hours, and A Beautiful Mind. Getting Harris on this show wasn't a standard casting decision. It was a statement about what kind of show Dutton Ranch was going to be. Kelly Reilly made that explicit in her own post-Season 1 interviews. She said that Harris and Annette Bening made the show legitimate. She said without them, Dutton Ranch could have just been a soapy spin-off. The show positioned its credibility around his participation, and then, by his own account, didn't give him the material to justify it. Here's what actually happened once cameras rolled. Harris says midway through the 1st season he was ready to leave. He confronted the production directly about his concerns. He did not name Taylor Sheridan in describing that confrontation. He told his representatives he wanted out. He said he felt like the character was relatively important to the story, but the doing of it didn't feel that way. He felt underused. He felt inconsequential. And the specific moment that pushed him over the edge was a scene. Everett McKinney sings at a bar. Harris filmed it. It was cut. He was told the reason for the cut was that the scene clashed tonally with the dark ending of that episode. For an actor who took this role on the basis of being one of 4 main characters, watching a scene that showed a different dimension of the character get removed for tonal reasons was the final straw. He used the word misled, not disappointed, not frustrated, misled. Now let's talk about the response. Fox News Digital reached out to Paramount, to Taylor Sheridan, and to 101 Studios for comment. None of them responded. Bro Bible confirmed the same pattern of silence. Multiple outlets went directly to the source, not a spokesperson, not a creative team representative. The studio itself, the creator, and the production company were all contacted, and none of them chose to address a 4-time Oscar nominee publicly saying he felt misled into a contract. That's a specific institutional choice, not a delay. When a story of this magnitude breaks about one of your flagship shows, and you have a response that exonerates you, you give it. The silence says something about the response available. Here's the piece that makes this even more significant. Harris is not a disgruntled actor who walked away. He's signed for 2 seasons. He went back. He told Variety that Season 2 will have a little bit more to do. He's still in the franchise, which means this is not a man burning a bridge on his way out. This is a man very carefully making sure the public record reflects what happened to him in Season 1 before Season 2 begins. That's a different kind of statement. Hollywood actors sign contracts, they fulfill them, and sometimes they fulfill them while making absolutely sure that everyone who hired them, everyone watching at home, and everyone covering the industry understands that they expect the terms to be honored this time. Here's the rehook, because there's a connection in the verified production record that ties directly to what Harris experienced. Wikipedia's confirmed production notes state that Chad Feehan, the Season 1 showrunner, departed the project due to clashes between himself, cast members, Taylor Sheridan, and 101 Studios head David Glasser. Cast members. That language is general, but Ed Harris publicly saying he confronted the production about being misled and nearly voided his contract, on a season where the showrunner was simultaneously clashing with cast members badly enough to exit before the show even aired, is not a coincidence. Harris is almost certainly one of those cast members. Which means what he experienced wasn't an isolated creative disagreement. It was part of a wider production conflict serious enough to remove the showrunner from the project. And now the showrunner is gone. Benjamin Cavell is in that seat for Season 2, and Kelly Reilly, in her own same-day response to Harris's interview, said something that reads very differently now that the full story is on the record. She told TV Insider that Season 2 is going to feel very much more like Ed's show. She said this is not the Beth and Rip show. She said Dutton Ranch has 4 lead characters, maybe 5, and that Harris and Benning are heavyweights the show is proud to have. That statement wasn't just a compliment. That was a public promise made on the same day Harris's complaint became national entertainment news. Reilly, who is also an executive producer, was making a commitment about what Season 2 will deliver for an actor who publicly said, Season 1 didn't. So here's where things stand. Ed Harris is confirmed for Dutton Ranch Season 2. He told Variety at the Apple TV Plus premiere of The Dink that he was promised one of 4 main character roles before signing, that the finished show didn't reflect that promise, and that midway through production, he asked his representatives to void his contract. Paramount, Taylor Sheridan, and 101 Studios have not responded to requests for comment from any outlet. Chad Feehan's departure from the show is confirmed to have involved clashes with cast members. Benjamin Cavell is Season 2's new showrunner. Kelly Reilly has publicly committed that Season 2 will feel like Harris's show. And Harris is still there, still signed, still choosing to show up. So tell me what you think. Does Season 2 actually deliver on the promise that was made to Harris before Season 1 began? And does Paramount's silence on this story tell you more than a statement ever could? Drop your take in the comments. I want to hear what you make of the fact that the studio said nothing. And if you want every update the moment Season 2 news drops, go ahead and subscribe. I'd really appreciate having you here for it. See you when the next piece of the story lands.